Hello, welcome to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. And we have reached the 25% mark of the Sharks season now with 20 games played. So we're going to kind of dive into where the Sharks are at now, look at which players are overperforming, which players are underperforming, and then, of course, kind of what to look for these next 20 games. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked on Sharks.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at Fear the Fin, San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked on Sharks your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch this on YouTube as well. And we have hit the 25% mark, the 3/4 pole. If you say quarter pole, the horse racing people get very mad at you. But apparently the 3/4 pole mark, which doesn't, whatever. We're 25, technically 15 minutes into the Sens game on Monday night will be the 25-minute mark, but I didn't want to release this podcast 15 minutes into the episodes or into the game. So no Sens preview. I think this is a kind of a better topic, right, to kind of see where the Sharks team is at right now and kind of where they are heading as you know, especially under a new head coach and how this team is starting to perform. So going to look at where this team is at, kind of start with like a big broad view of the team. Then the next segment, we're going to talk about kind of 3 players who are overperforming expectations, 3 players who are underperforming. Then the final segment, kind of 3 storylines to watch as we head into kind of the halfway point of the season. So if you're watching on YouTube, good YouTube day today, as I made plenty of graphs and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to start digging into this bad boy. So the Sharks, they rank poorly among a lot of the stats here. They are 31st in the league on JFresh Hockey's ranking, 7th in division. Only the Ducks are ranked worse than them. You know, you look at their goals for, they're ranked 21st, goals against 29th, goal share 27th, the power play 23rd ranking, which is power play has been improving. The finishing, you know, is ranked 24th, expected goals for ranked 24th, expected goals against 16th. So you've seen the defense start to improve. Expected goal share ranked 22nd, PK ranked number 1, and then the goalie, their tandem is ranked 25th. And you know, just some of the kind of raw numbers for the Sharks team and where they actually rank, you know, kind of looking at them. So their goals for per game, they're at 2.8, which is starting to improve over the under 2 that they were, you know, about 8 or 9 games into the season. Shooting percentage, they're at 9.4, which is kind of a lower portion there. So PK best in the league at 92.5% on the PK. Power play 19.2%, which is again kind of in the bottom third, but that power play we've seen look way more dangerous over the last couple of weeks here. You know, if they can start to get that going into the top half of the league, and it won't take much for them to kind of, you know, I think like the top, kind of the middle is like at like 23%. So it's not like it's a massive jump for them. Colorado, 36.5% power play, which is just ridiculous. Absolutely insane. But we have seen some improvements from this team. And, you know, looking at their rolling Corsi. So what this does is this takes the rolling Corsi differential. So this is kind of a 5-game rolling of where they are giving up shot attempts, kind of looking at their shot attempts for and their shot attempts against. And this team was getting absolutely smoked in the first kind of 10 games of when it came to shot attempts, where they were just giving up ton of shot attempts and they weren't making as many. As you can see over the last kind of that 10 game mark where things start to kind of click for the Sharks, they've become kind of an average, they're kind of even, right? Where with the amount of shot attempts that they give up versus the amount of shot attempts that they're taking. And then it's kind of a little dip over the last couple games, especially that Rangers game on Saturday night where they got absolutely blown out when it came to shots. I talked about on the live stream where actual shot attempts, all situations, was 74-43. And then on Saturday, if you're just looking at 5-on-5, it was much better, 54-37 for the Rangers. So Rangers are kind of doing whatever they wanted their type of situation. So, and then if you want to look at kind of some of the players and guys who've had pretty good seasons, or kind of guys maybe have struggled, the shot attempts to the expected goals. So Timo Meier is by far and away the Sharks' best player when it comes to that. So he's taking a ton of shot attempts, but he's also taking these shot attempts are really good. So he 95 shot. Spoiler, he's got 95 shot attempts so far. This, he's on pace to have almost 400 shot attempts this season, which would be outstanding. But if you look at, like people are going to be like, oh, wow, Hurdle's kind of in the bad quadrant. If you're watching this, it's because he just doesn't take a lot of shot attempts. And that's one of those things of playing with Timo Meier, right? Timo Meier is you're going to kind of defer to Timo Meier when it comes to the shots. So, your line mates can have a lot to do with that, especially. And then like LeBanc as well. LeBanc is kind of known for his shooting. So Hurdle on a line with Meier and LeBanc is kind of the third option when it comes to actual shots. So that's why you kind of see him in that. He's not taking as many shot attempts as you would like for someone of Hurdle. And then the ones that he's taking probably aren't the best because you're kind of dealing with the scraps there. So, but you can kind of see where the Sharks, they have most of their players, if you're watching this, most of their players are kind of in the bad quadrant of low shot attempt and then the expected goals are low. So they're not taking a lot of shot attempts, and the ones that they're taking aren't very high quality. So that's kind of seems very par for the course for the Sharks of what they have been doing this year. So if you look at some of the Sharks lines and how they are performing right now, the Meier, Hurdle, LeBanc line, they are the best line for the Sharks. I think I had this at like 60 minutes, or maybe it was 60 minutes of time on ice. Meier, Hurdle, LeBanc, close to 60% shot attempts for. So when they are on the ice, they are dominating the shot attempts, and they have 130. This is all 5-on-5, 134 shot attempts for while giving up 91. They're averaging their shot attempts per 60 minutes is 73. So this team is, when that Meier, Hurdle, LeBanc line is on the ice, they are controlling the pace of play. So that, and they have 110 minutes together. They're doing a great job controlling. Defensive pairings are also kind of in here too. Ferraro and Karlsson, they play like 92 minutes all together, and they have doing a good job with their shot attempts for 57. I would say that's mostly on the Karlsson there. The Magna Karlsson pairing also doing very well too, and they've played together a lot now, 211 minutes, 53% shot attempts. So that Corsi for again, shot when Karlsson's on the ice, 224 shot attempts for, 194 given up. So, and they're shooting 63 shots per minute. So, and then the kind of the Barabanov, Couture, Nieto line, which has been kind of put together over the last kind of couple weeks here. Shot attempts for 48.6, so not as good as you would kind of expect. It's 101 to 107, but they're averaging about 54 shots a minute. So, but I think that line, though, you've definitely seen it over the last couple weeks kind of coming together a little bit more. So the Sturm Bonino Kunin line is getting crushed, 42 shot attempts, 42% of the shot attempts. They have 56 shot attempts for while they've given up 76. They're averaging 44 shot attempts for every 60 minutes. So that's less than a shot a minute from that line. So when you watch that line, it kind of makes sense with them. So before we continue, Do want to take a quick break and talk to you guys about our friends over at SimpliSafe. This episode is brought to you by SimpliSafe. And you guys know this time of year, the holidays, property crimes go up, like burglaries and package theft spike nationally. That's why SimpliSafe is here to offer you a 50% off their award-winning security systems. That's more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy the advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Great thing about it, they have the awesome app, right? So if you're out at a Christmas party, you're out shopping or whatever, you can look on the phone at any time and be like, check your cameras, right? You have HD security cameras that can cover the inside and the outside. Smarter ways to detect motion that alert you when only threats are real. And that way, like, if it's not just a squirrel running in your backyard, you don't have to worry about that. So they have 24/7 professional monitoring service that costs less than $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. And with their that top rated app, right? If you're out, you're at a party, you're out shopping, whatever, you just pull it up, you check your cameras, feel safe, peace of mind. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. This is their biggest discount of the year. You do not want to miss it. So simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, let's get into some of the players who have been a little, some players who've been very good and some players who maybe have been a little disappointing. So, and I think we have to start with Erik Karlsson, right? I mean, I have waxed poetically about what Erik Karlsson is doing for this team and how he is a bona fide Norris candidate for the Sharks. So Erik Karlsson this year, 20 games, 11 goals, 17 assists. He is second on the team with shots on goal at 62, playing 25-17 of time on ice. So Erik Karlsson is playing a ton of minutes and hope that he doesn't get hurt. But, just for kind of the last couple seasons with Karlsson, for his time on ice, he played 23-28 last year, 23-36 the year before, 24-31, and then 24-29. So those are all the seasons with San Jose. He hasn't played this much since he was with Ottawa. And you can, not having Brent Burns around, those minutes have to go to somewhere. And Erik Karlsson has been making the most of him. Corsi for 53%. So when Karlsson is on the ice, the Sharks are taking 53% of the shots. So that is good. You are driving goals. Expected goals for is actually only 1.8. So he has 11 and he's expected to only have 1.8. So he is vastly outproducing what he is expected of him. So potential regression there. But I think Karlsson's just on a heater right now, and good players, they do that. They get on heaters, and there's not much, that's what they do. So another defenseman here who's, I think, has been a bit disappointing, especially after kind of the expectations for him. And it's Mario Ferraro, right? Mario Ferraro signed a pretty hefty contract this offseason, and, he's definitely been a fan favorite, but you're at some point you have to kind of produce offensively. And I know Mario Ferraro isn't going to become, a Brent Burns or an Erik Karlsson, but he's got 20 games this year. He's got 1 goal, which was an empty netter, and he has 4 assists and 23 shots on goal. Again, I know Mario Ferraro isn't a offensive driving defenseman, like comparison, Matt Benning has 4 points this year. Vlasic has 4 points. Radim Šimić has a goal. Jacob Megna has 6 points this year. And yes, Vlasic makes more than everyone else, but like Mario Ferraro, I don't know what he is, right? He's a decent defenseman, but he doesn't really provide much offense. And I think he's cast a lot. He's second on the team among defensemen with average time on ice at 23-16. Corsi for 47%. So again, like Karlsson, 53% of the shots. The team had 53% of the shots when he is on. Ferraro, they're kind of getting caved in a little bit here with the 47%, and he has expected 1 goal for. So again, it's just Mario Ferraro is a really fun person, and kind of got to root for it. It's just I don't know if this contract is going to be kind of work out. And so far this season, again, I know he's not a offensive driving defenseman, but he's he's okay. So that's my worry, is especially with how much you're paying him. Like, what does Mario Ferraro do well for you? He blocks shots, I guess. So that's what Mario Ferraro can do for you. A forward who is way out, kind of. I mean, I did say Timo Meier's got 90 points, but Meier's been very, very good this season. And especially when you consider the first 8 games, he basically didn't produce much offensively. And now he's at 8 goals, 9 assists in 20 games. And he has 95 shots on goal, which leads the NHL. The man is on a mission this year to just produce as much as he possibly can, and he's doing a great job with it. So average time on ice 1957, so he's playing almost 20 minutes a night, which is a lot for a forward. But again, Timo Meier is very good. Corsi for 55%, expected goals for 6.3. So that goes back to that. Not only is he taking a lot of shots, he is taking quality shots. And looking at, again, expected goals, at 5-on-5 expected goals, Timo Meier is second. Nope, sorry, he jumped ahead of Austin Matthews. He has the highest expected goals in the league at 5-on-5 among all players. So Timo Meier is making stuff happen. And if it wasn't for Erik Karlsson doing what Erik Karlsson is, I would probably be losing my mind over what Timo Meier is doing right now. So he's producing, and he's going to continue to produce it if the Sharks just let him kind of run amok the way he's doing right now. So another forward who is kind of hasn't been producing, Nick Bonino. Maybe Nick Bonino is just not good at the start of seasons, right? Last year, remember, he went the first 15, 16, 17 games or something like that without a goal. And then all of a sudden he ended up scoring. So maybe Bonino's the second half guy. But 17 games, 0 goals, 1 assist. I know he does have 2 shootout goals. Maybe he's just this shootout specialist for the Sharks. He only has 17 shots on goal, and he's playing almost 15 minutes a night. Corsi for 41%. So every time Nick Bonino is on the ice, the other team is taking 59% of the shots attempts. His expected goals for is 1.4. So we'll see. It's just I don't know what to do with, and I don't know if David Quinn knows what to do with Nick Bonino right now. Right, he was supposed to be your third line center. That didn't last very long, and Nico Sturm kind of took that position. You had him on the second line with Couture, and it didn't really work out there. Now he's on the third line with Sturm and Cunnin, and that line's kind of getting just caved in constantly, as I talked about earlier. So I just, you're kind of stuck with him, and what do you do with Nick Bonino right now? Because he's not producing, and he's known for his defense, but the Sharks are kind of getting caved in every time that he steps on the ice. So I expect he will be traded this hopefully he'll be traded. I don't know with these numbers but somebody will take him, of course. But at this point, it almost feels like Bonino's kind of just holding the fort until one of the young guys are ready to kind of come up and take that spot. So the last of the guys who are performing above expectations, and Nico Sturm has been an excellent signing for the Sharks, right? 20 games, started on the fourth line. He's now the third line center. 6 goals, 2 assists, 33 shots on goal, 14-24 time on ice. The Corsi for is not where you want it to be, right? With the 45% there. You'd like that closer to 50, and the expected goals are 1.8. So, but I mean, he has provided you offense that you're not expecting from Nico Sturm, who you're paying, $2 million for the next 3 years. So Nico Sturm's been a great signing. He's definitely added to that secondary scoring that the Sharks have really, really lacked the last couple of years. So I think you have to kind of put him in the win category for the Sharks, especially this early part of the season. And, if whenever Bordelot or Eklund or whatever, Sturm can play, like, he can slide back down to the fourth line, and he's going to be an amazing fourth liner. He's been doing solid as a third line center. I point to, I don't think he's the problem on the third line center. If you want to think who I think is the problem, maybe rewind like 30 seconds to the guy I was talking about before. So then finally, I think you guys know where this last one is. It's Kaapo Kahkonen, who's been dreadful. I think is the only way to start for the Sharks, where he's played 6 games, save percentage of .878, 3.70 goals against this year. He's allowed 22 goals, but this is what the bad part is: the expected goals against. So he's allowed 22. He's expected like a NHL caliber or kind of like baseline goalie is at 14.73. So he's given up 7.3 more goals than expected, or he's saved minus 7.3 goals saved above expected. And that's all situations. I think with goalies, you have to take it all in there, but. And the high danger save is what's killing him, is the .556 high danger save percentage. So all those high danger saves, he's only making, he's just saving half of any of the high danger chances. So that numbers was, if you can improve the high danger save, I think that's going to help. I'll fix a lot of the stuff with Kaapo Kahkonen, and I'm going to, talk about Kaapo Kahkonen here in a minute, but. Before I do that, do want to let you guys know about our friends over at BetOnline. You guys know BetOnline, the number one space wherever you want to get all your sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. They're the number one source. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer, esports. They've got you covered at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, they got you those as well. So they're the fastest and easiest way to get all your betting fix in. Visit their website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. And then make sure you guys go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. For your next listen, go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. They're the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. So available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, for the last section here is kind of 3 storylines that I am kind of keeping track as these Sharks head into the midpoint, right? I think you have to start with the goalie tandem. So Reimer right now is on track to start 57 games, which would be in a ridiculous amount of starts for James Reimer. Kaapo Kahkonen has had 6 starts so far in the first 20 games. This number has to even out a little bit more. So especially James Reimer, who has been great, but we've seen this, right, where you start to kind of 3, 4, 5 starts in a row, and then you get the game like the Detroit game. And yes, he rebounded really well. He was amazing against the Rangers, right? That game should have been like 4-1 if it wasn't for Kaapo, or wasn't for James Reimer doing what James Reimer is doing. But I think you have to try to trust Kaapo. You have to try to get Kaapo Kahkonen going at some point, because you can't expect James Reimer to play 57 games this year. And unless you're one of the top goalies, you just don't play that much. And James Reimer, I love James Reimer. I think he's a great guy. James Reimer should not be playing 57 games for you. You're just going to wear him down. And especially if you're probably going to trade him at some point this season, you can't have James Reimer starting 57 games. So they just want to ride him into the ground right now and then trade him at the trade deadline. More power to you. But I think, though, you have to get Kaapo Kahkonen playing more. And even if it's a 2-to-1 start ratio, Reimer starts 2, Kaapo starts 1, fine. But like, you can't do this. James Reimer's going to start 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row, 7 games in a row situation, or else you don't know what you have with Kaapo Kahkonen. You have a financial commitment for the next 2 seasons with. You kind of have to figure it out at some point with Kaapo Kahkonen. And 2, you're kind of going to burn your trade asset if you do this. So yes, so you have to figure that out. Next storyline is, of course, the children, right? When are Eklund, Bortolo, when are we going to see them in the NHL? And they haven't been burning down the AHL, but they've been playing really well down there. So I do want to see, when is David Quinn going to kind of or Mike Greer going to rip the Band-Aid off and let these guys come up and play? My original take was Christmas, and I'm starting to think it might not be closer to the trade deadline. So unless one of these guys gets on a heater here in the next couple of weeks, and that's more than possible. Now that they're both kind of playing top line minutes, there's a good chance that could happen with them. But when are the Sharks going to kind of play with the new toys, right? And how long can you keep trying Nick Bonino out there, who's gotten you 1 assist in 20 games? So Nick Bonino is on pace for 4 assists this season. How long? How long until we, until you see what you have in one of these guys? So, between Bortolo, between Eklund, Robbins, who's been awesome down there, but I still think they probably. I think the other guy's a little bit more NHL ready at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if Robbins is playing NHL games this season. But at some point, you're going to have to see what you have, because either the guys on the team aren't performing, i.e. Oscar Lindblom, Nick Bonino, etc., or the guys down in the AHL are lighting up, and you need to get them up and see if they can play NHL games. So then the final thing, of course, is how can Timo Meier and Erik Karlsson continue to kind of drag this team that they have been doing in the past? The first 20 games, can they continue this now? Karlsson's been playing like a man on fire for the past few weeks, and we know his injury history. So can he continue to play the way that he's been playing? And can Timo Meier make my 90-point Timo Meier proclamation look realistic? And if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's got a real shot at 90 points. I know he's under the pace right now, but if you scrap those first 10 games, Timo Meier has been amazing the last 10 games. And I think if he can play at the pace that we've seen the last 10 games, he could be definitely pushing for 90 points. So again, what are you doing, the goalies? You got to get Kaapo Kahkonen. When are we going to see the children? And can Timo and Karlsson continue to carry this team to be some sort of relevance? So that's going to be it for me today. I'll be back tomorrow to break down the Sharks Sens game. I think I have something special coming up for you as well. You might actually have like 6 podcasts this week. So maybe just keep an eye on the feed. So if you want to know when something drops, make sure you guys are following along Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram over at Locked On Sharks. If Twitter's still alive, Twitter's going to be fine. You can listen Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Odyssey, you name it. Find the podcast there. You can watch on YouTube at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Be back tomorrow for Sens Sharks. And until then, bye, friends.